JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Monday, January 5th, 9:17 a.m. A really quick rant here. Talk about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P futures in the green here. SPY's right at 686. Key handle here. In the face of this whole weekend, right? Lots of events. We'll first start off on last Wednesday, New Year's Eve. Have that the markets end of the year. Markets looking to kind of end 2025 on a good note. And then we had that last 2 hour pull, right? The SPY just tumbled. No news, no catalyst. And we have the New Year's Day and then Friday, right? And the markets shook it off as if nothing happened. Then markets opened and then we sold off. So markets went from green to red with the solid gap. 2 o'clock hit lows, and then markets found a bid. The S&P closed slightly in the green, NASDAQ in the red. And now it's like, where do we go from here? So today is the end of the supposed Santa Claus rally season. So it's 5 sessions for last 5 days of the year. First 2 of this year. S&P's up 0.18%. So we'll see how that plays out. There hasn't been 3 red Santa Claus rally timeframes in history. I don't know if that has any meaning at all, but probably don't want that to happen. And then this week, we finally start to get some data. So we get 10 o'clock today. I think it's 10 o'clock, you get the manufacturing PMI. Wednesday, you get services PMI. Services PMI is probably the more of the important of the 2 data pieces. ADP jobs report will be out, and then we get the December jobs report on Friday. Mixed in amongst that, we have CES. And 4 o'clock today, you have Jensen, keynote speaker in Vegas. I think after that, 6 o'clock, you have the Intel CEO, whatever her name is, forget how to pronounce it. He's always, uber bullish, right? I'm sure it's excitement. He's going to exude confidence, talk about big things and, robotics, autonomous AI, all those different things he always talks about. Last year, I think it was, I don't know when he gave the shout out, but Micron gave a shout out. Boom, that stock rallied 10%. I don't know for the markets, right? You just hope there's no snafu that he says something that spooks markets. That would be my only fear. Outside of that, just hope it's not a sell the news event. If not, hopefully it just keeps the momentum going in this AI space. So that's kind of overall market. 686, the big spot. Also, I think it's January 17th, next Thursday, or is it next Wednesday? 7th, 14th is the kickoff of earnings season. And I believe it's Wednesday morning. And then the following week is the holidays. So the Netflix earnings is the next key report, and I think that's January 6th, 13th, maybe it's January 20th. So we'll have the fun of the earnings season. All right, that's overall markets. Just over the weekend, I put on the watch list this morning. This event over the weekend, there's been so many. I was trying to think as I'm doing my week top 5 stock webinar for 2026. All these events over 2025, if you just wrote them down and then asked somebody, hey, if all these things happen in 2025, where would markets be? The trade war with tariffs being 125% in China and U.S., the DeepSeek, U.S. and Israel striking Iran, like all these different events that have happened, the U.S. Debt rating, credit rating getting downgraded. If you made a list of all those events and headlines, what would you say the market is? And people probably say correction, bear market, a market crash, all that fun stuff. And then to see it close up 17% or what have you, just remarkable. We'll see how this year plays out. I'm finishing my top 5 stock webinar. It's finished. I just have to do the webinar. I was trying to do it last night. It'll be out tonight. I have the stocks already. I posted them down. SI Time, probably one of my favorite names of them. I think I posted a list. Frog is a name if you've followed the IPO. I remember since IPO, that's a name I've wanted to get uber bullish on. I'll have more of those names. But anyway, I'm trying to think of 2026, like what headline is going to derail the market. So we already, if you have on your bingo card that the U.S. is going to go and extract the president of Venezuela and bring him back to face charges, would that be on your bingo card, right? I mean, just remarkable stuff. But any other year, a decade ago, if that happened and you didn't have Bitcoin or some of these other markets to kind of give you a gauge of market sentiment heading into Monday, it's a very stressful weekend because you don't know where market's going to open up, what impact it's going to have. But just based on what's going on with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is rallying, and then you can kind of see all the markets that do some of these bets and what have you. You can kind of tell the market was going to, I wouldn't say shake it off, but to me, I'm like a free market person, right? So when I see events that open markets and, hate to see any kind of violence and war and all that fun stuff, not fun stuff, not fun stuff. To me, I would say it's a bullish signal, but I think it's a good thing. You want free open markets, but we'll see how today brings out. If you read the headlines over the weekend too, you would think oil would be down 35%. Here it is in the green. So outside of hopefully this weekend is kind of like a non-event, and then markets can move on and go from there. All right, I didn't want to talk too much about that. Trying to get too much into too little at a time. All right, just quick on individual names. I finally had some time to write some bullet points on SERV Robotics, only because it seems like every time I talk about SERV, there's different things that happen, and then I don't have it in a nutshell when someone asks me, why are you so bullish SERV? And it'll just because they just got upgraded and they don't know all the other story behind it. The $300 million in cash, company is $900 million. So 35% of their valuation is in cash. The partnerships with Uber and Dash and all that stuff. But anyway, SERV was up 14% on Friday. Locked some of my calls in that I had, the March strikes. Still have some January calls as well. I think 1375 is coming, probably sooner rather than later. I don't know at the open if I'm going to add strikes right at the open, wait for the dust to settle. Love the story. I'll continue to look for opportunities to trade SERV Robotics for upside. Also, this backdrop of CES, I think is just going to bode well for robotics, autonomous things. AI, anything AI related is probably going to do well this week. So that's SERV. And then Baidu. So Baidu was rallying out of the gate on Friday on news of its spinning off its chip business, or at least looking to list on a Hong Kong exchange. I did my rant last week on Baidu. Like, there's a lot of reasons I think it could trade over $200, but whether I think it should be valued much higher or not, it's not up to me. It's up to the market. And sometimes the market says no, right? So I'm not going to try and fight it. I do think if it has continuation today, it could be the start of a larger move to the upside. Baidu broke into levels not seen since I think it was February of 2023. So big spot up there. A lot of blue sky breakouts typically means higher highs, right? The resistance is gone. All the sellers are churned through. But we'll find out today if it needs some more churning. It is gapping a little lower here with some of the other China ADR stocks. If it holds around 144.50, 145, I might look for some more strikes to play for upside. Close some of my calls in to cover costs at the end of the day on Friday. I'll continue to do that. And then RH, news that the tariffs on furniture are going to be extended to 2027, or at least pushed out to then. I think it was headed to 200 regardless of that news. So I went and got some spec calls. I'll continue to look for opportunities to trade RH back over its 200-day moving average for the first time. I'll have to go back since 2024. And actually, 193.66 is a 200-day. It's 193.41. So it gets over that today. I think it's off to the races. And then Sight Time, right? So Sight Time, one of my top 5 stocks. Tight Bollinger Band. I'll do my little rant when you hear my rant on it, but great, huge, tremendous growth story. I don't pretend to be know exactly how the component sells and what it does, the intricacies of it. I just know it's a widget, right? And when you have a widget that's growing, that's in demand, they have a patent to control the intellectual property and the business. They're intertwined in I don't know how many percent of the top companies out there. It's just a good business that if the AI and CapEx spend story continues in 2026, this is a name that could be 5, 6, 700. Call me crazy. Same token, if things fizzle and AI bubble starts to get a little poppage, this could be a name trades back down to its tariff levels, right? The Liberation Day, and it was under $200. So risk reward there, but the only problem is the strikes are monthly based, so you can only get the January, February, March calls, and the increments are wide, so $5 increments. So tough to find decent strikes. It's not the most liquid name, but if I might look for some January 430s, January 440s to play for that overshoot, especially on a tight Bollinger Band break, because typically when you have this tight Bollinger Band setup, it precedes a large move. And of course, I'm biased, so it could be down to the downside. I think it's biased to the upside. That's Sight. Solar Edge is over $32 here. Maybe it's the day it finally starts to break out. TripAdvisor sitting here at 1480. Still some January strikes. Have to lock some of those in at some point. Just frustrating with Trip. Every time it breaks out, the premiums are flat. It's not moving up with lockstep with the stock. So maybe today's that day. Take a look at Reddit. It's up at 250 here in the pre-market. Kick myself for not getting some strikes into this week. But every time I've looked at strikes or I've even traded strikes, the premiums are lower on the Monday, despite the stock being higher. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some premiums either flat or not up too much today. So I don't know if it's because people are pricing in, or the market's pricing in a big next day move on Reddit for the following week. So don't be surprised I do some lottos here. And that's it. I'll try and get back on audio. Short little rant. I want to go into some details, some of these other names, but I'll do that later. Let's have a great day. I'll be back. Rock and roll.